Music Fundamentals, Week 11, Composition. I'm Richard Freeman-Toole. The subject of musical composition may be thought of as too huge to cover in a music fundamentals class. On the other hand, as I suggested in the class on 12-bar blues, everybody enjoys making up their own tunes, and with a minimum of preparation, most students can learn the basics of composition from a few salient principles. It may be argued that all musical ideas reside in an archetypal library situated in the superphysical astral plane and may only be accessed through spiritual inspiration. However, although I cannot teach you how to become inspired, I may be able to point the way toward that library door and maybe even print you up a membership card. Clearly, the most inspired parameter of music is melody. Melodies, like snowflakes, are all unique, and it just might be that they are all derived truly from supraphysical experience, higher mind, etc. But the technique of supporting melodies with chords is definitely learned from socially established traditions, rules, if you will, which have come to be generally agreed upon over time. This general agreement we call common practice, and the technique for supporting melodies with chords, or harmonies, is called harmonization. The basic rule of harmonization is this: melody tones are chord tones. In other words, to harmonize a melody correctly, one of the three notes in the triad sounding below the melody note must be of the same pitch class as the melody note it harmonizes. This is easier to show than to say. In this simple melody, we can see that there are some melody notes which don't go with certain chords. If you find the chord that goes with, that is, the chord that has that note in it, then you've achieved a rational harmonization. Obviously, there's a little more to it than that. For one thing, no good melody is composed entirely of chord tones. That would sound like this. It would sound like bugle music, not especially good melodies. But we'll start calling these chord tones structural tones because they support the harmonic structure of the piece. Now, most melodies have some notes that are part of the chord and some that are not. These non-chord tones we'll start to call embellishments. Even melodies that include lots of embellishing notes tend to focus chord tones on the primary rhythmic subdivisions of the measure, such that the chords, always moving slower than the melody, also changing on strong beats, tend to coincide rhythmically with chord tones in the melody, while the embellishing tones tend to be on weak beats, the and the e and the divisions. This slight variation on twinkle twinkle demonstrates how chord tones are to be found on strong beats, coinciding with the chord changes, while scale-wise embellishing tones appear on weak beats. And here's the first melody note of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, a little scale, non-chord tones, and then chord tone again. The G is part of a C chord. Then we go to A, part of an F chord, and here's the non-chord tones back to a chord tone. Strong beats, weak beats. The question of which comes first into the imaginative world of the composer, the melody or the harmony, is somewhat interesting. Many composers think up melodic statements first and then attach harmonizations of the melody notes based primarily on the logic presented in the preceding slide. Other composers first conceive a progression of chords based more or less on common practice convention and then try to attach melodies to them. In any case, learning how to associate melody notes with harmonizing chords is a skill that all musicians must acquire.